Resignation.
Tapa.
Tapa.
Austerity.
Austerity.
Paramam.
Paramam.
Very severe.
Very severe.
Astitaha.
Astitaha.
Is situated in.
Situated in.
Viratsva.
Viratsva.
Please take steps.
Please take steps.
Anantaram.
Anantaram.
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Yuktam.
Yuktam.
Befitting.
Befitting.
Swayam.
Swayam.
Yourself.
Yourself.
Shri Bhuvaneshwara.
Bhuvaneshwara.
O Master of the three worlds.
O Master of the three worlds.
Translation. O Lord, we have heard from reliable sources that in order to obtain your post, Hiranyakashipu is now engaged in severe austerity. You are the master of the three worlds. Please, without delay, take whatever steps you deem appropriate. Repeat after me. O Lord.
O Lord.
We have heard.
We have heard
From reliable sources.
From reliable sources.
That in order to obtain.
That in order to obtain
your post.
Your post.
Hiranyakashipu.
Hiranyakashipu
Is now engaged. In severe austerity.
In severe austerity.
You are the master of the three worlds.
You are the master of the three worlds.
Please, without delay.
Please, without delay.
Take whatever steps.
Take whatever steps
you deem appropriate.
You deem appropriate.
Prabhupada's purport. In the material world, the servant is provided for by the master, but is always planning how to capture the master's post. There have been many instances of this in history, especially in India during the Mohammedan rule. Many servants had plans and devices took over the post of their masters. It is learned from Chaitanya literature that one big zamindar, Subhuti Roy, kept a Mohammedan boy as a servant. Of course, he treated the boy as his own child, and sometimes when the boy would steal something, the master would chastise him by striking him with his cane. There was a mark on the boy's back from this chastisement. Later, after that boy had, by crooked means, become Hussein Shah, Nawab of Bengal, one day his wife saw the mark on his back and inquired about it. The Nawab replied that in his childhood he had been a servant of Subhuti Roy, who had punished him because of some mischievous activities. Upon hearing this, the Nawab's wife immediately became agitated and requested her husband to kill Subhuti Roy. Nawab Hussein Shah, of course, was very grateful to Subhuti Roy and therefore refused to kill him. But when his wife requested him to turn Subhuti Roy into a Mohammedan, the Nawab agreed. Taking some water from his water pot, he sprinkled it upon Subhuti Roy and declared that Subhuti Roy had now become a Mohammedan. The point is that this Nawab had been an ordinary menial servant of Subhuti Roy, but was somehow or other able to occupy the supreme post of Nawab of Bengal. This is the material world. Everyone is trying to become master through various devices, although everyone is servant of his senses. Following this system, a living entity, although servant of his senses, tries to become master of the whole universe. Hiranyakashipu was a typical example of this, and Brahma was informed by the demigods of his intentions. Om Gyananandasya Gyananandasya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Yam Dadati Swapadamikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapadakamanam Shri Guru Vaishwanam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Tham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadguru Pariyam Sritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada
Sahaganamita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvamanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
The first line of this is that we have heard from reliable sources, and that is the very simple way to learn everything about our relationship with Krishna and go back home, back to God. And simply just have to hear from reliable source. Of course, the Shastras are the reliable source, but the Shastras have to be received in disciplic succession from bona fide representative of Krishna. And therefore, Krishna establishes the disciplic succession. One of the first things one of the first things I saw, and what people generally see when they read the Bhagavad Gita for the first time, they see the list of guru, spiritual master, and disciple, from beginning with Krishna to Lord Brahma, to Vyasadeva, Narada Muni, and on to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and Srila Prabhupada, and now Prabhupada's disciples and grand disciples, and very soon great grand disciples, and on in disciplic succession. The process of Krishna consciousness never ends. The disciplic succession never ends. It's not. It's that's the way knowledge is transmitted, and it's very easy to understand everything in disciplic succession. Just have to hear it submissively, and even Prabhupada said that in the beginning I didn't understand everything that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said, but I just wanted to hear from him. And so and I always refer to the period of time in India where Prabhupada was preaching there, and as to some of his American Western disciples were with him as servants and secretary. And Prabhupada was doing home programs at different homes every night. He wasn't lecturing in English. He was lecturing in Hindi or Bengali, and even if he was lecturing in English, his disciples were there and they were with him every night, all the time, so they would hear. It's like a candidate who's running for office. They go from one event to another, and day after day, and they have like a stock campaign speech that they give, with maybe a little variation here and there. And the people who are with them are like, oh yeah, he's on this again. heard it a million times. And so anyway, so Prabhupada's disciples, they would be like that, and sometimes they wouldn't attend his lectures because they'd be thinking like, oh, we're with him every night. It's the same thing over and over again. Guess I don't have to go to the lecture tonight. And Prabhupada spoke to them about that, and he said, he told them, you should always go hear my lectures. And even if I'm speaking in a different language, you should just go. It doesn't matter if you understand the words or not, just to hear the transcendental sound is purifying. And that's good. It's the simplest thing in the world. And we're reading the Bhagavad Gita in my room last night with a couple of devotees. And I don't know how much devotees read the Bhagavad. I'm sure everyone has read the Bhagavad Gita, but after that you think, well, I've heard everything from the Bhagavad Gita. Let me read the Bhagavatam with the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ujjvala Nila, and some of the Rasa book, and I've read the Bhagavad Gita, but we're looking at it. If there's any of that attitude, it should be checked, and we should realize, we should try to understand that the Bhagavad Gita, everything is there in the Bhagavad Gita. You can enter into Lord Chaitanya's pastimes through the Chaitanya Chart by reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita or the Srimad Bhagavatam. You enter into Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. You can actually enter into the pastimes just by reading, and there's no difference reading the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's words to his very intimate associate Arjuna, and it's meant not just for him but for everyone. And you could say, and Prabhupada says many times, the Bhagavad Gita is the ABCs of spiritual knowledge. But that doesn't mean it's not the ABCs in the ordinary way of going to school and just learning the letters of the alphabet. It's the ABCs and that of transcendental life, and it's not limited like material lessons are. The words of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita are the most dear words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the fallen souls in the material world. And it's just that I give one example from my own life, the kind of mundane mixed with spiritual. But for me, it's a good lesson. But when I was a little kid, my father is a very nice man. He's not a devotee, but in material terms, he's a very nice man. And he definitely very affectionate to all of us, all the kids. And anyways, he could do things like work on cars and plant things in the garden and make the garden grow. And sometimes he would try to teach me how to do something, but I couldn't pay attention for more than 5 minutes. And he would, eventually, after a little while, he'd just, okay, go play or do what you want to do.
How small you were?
Like anywhere like 8, 9, 10, 12. And he could see that I didn't have any of his propensities for fixing things or doing detailed work. I never have. And too scatterbrained. We have a term for it now. We have a nice medical term, ADD. I have an excuse because it's a medical term for it. And anyway, I couldn't pay attention. And but if somehow my father was back today and he wanted to show me how to change the spark plugs in the car, I would listen. I've learned a lot. And over the past 60, 70 years, and I'd be just glad to be with him and have the chance to be with him and listen to him again and learn whatever I could from him. So, because I know he's doing it out of love, and it's a very basic, simple thing from his point of view, but he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to teach me how to do this and that. He did it out of love. So I should, if I had the chance now, I would pay very close attention and I would want to hear. So, and anyway, just a lesson for me, and a simple way that I can explain it is that whatever Krishna, whatever the spiritual master wants to teach us, it may seem, well, that's very elementary. Oh, you're not the body. Okay, I know I'm not the body. Oh, you're a fallen soul, the threefold miseries of material living. I've heard that thousands of times, or this or that. I think, let me go on to some more advanced topics. And that's a tendency that's there in the conditioned soul. But we should take it the most, and they're not simple things. Not like you can hear "I'm not the body" once or 1,000 times or 10,000 times, and completely and really understand all the implications of that, and the ultimate meaning of that. And I'm not the body. I heard one example that Prabhupada was using recently about how the conditioners of Jiva's soul, although we apparently come in contact with the material energy, we never actually come in contact with it. And one example is the water, the rain that falls from the sky, and when it's in a cloud in its pure form, the water is pure. But when it falls to the ground, it falls on the dirt, and the water appears to be dirty. But when the sun comes out and it evaporates the water from the ground, goes back into the clouds. So you can see that the water is still pure. It never was dirty, but it appeared to be dirty on account of apparently being mixed with the dirt, but never really mixed with the dirt. And the other example that I heard from Prabhupada recently, and that I don't know if I ever heard it before, but if I did, I didn't remember it. And that's another facet of hearing over and over from the spiritual masters who tend to be very forgetful. And you may hear something 30 or 40 years from now, they'll say, oh yeah, I heard that when I was in the temple of Boston. I forgot all about that. But it's a nice point. It's an important point. Anyway, the example was that the lotus flower on the water, it has a coating, the water never actually touches the lotus flower. And he used that in the same way, the same example, making the same point that the spirit soul comes and apparently is touching material energy, never actually touch it. The soul is eternally pure and may seem to be very contaminated, and we definitely act in ways that would indicate that we're pretty contaminated. And we, the pure spirit soul, we never actually come in contact with the material energy. We're always pure spirit soul.
Is this also example given of sky being untouched, even though it may carry different
The,
sky remains untouched, even though it may carry. Is this example also given for this?
I don't know that.
I think so. I'm not sure. If they know, then I think it comes.
Yeah, the sky, the air travels over a garbage heap and it smells bad. But then the same air travels over like a rose garden and it seems to smell really good. So yeah, but the air is not either. It's not, doesn't smell bad or good. It's just according to what it passes over. That's the one I know.
Yeah, maybe 11th canto. That's nice. 11th canto, I think it comes in.
Anyway, the point is that it may be very simple lessons, but they're everything, every word out of Krishna's mouth, or every word out of the spiritual master's mouth has inconceivable depth and significance. And it's not like a mundane subject that you go to school and you learn, study pages, study chapters 3 and 4, and do a report on those chapters, and then you're like, okay, I learned chapters 3 and 4, what's next? But we're meant, of course, we're meant to go on and on in our studying. That's, I'm not saying that we shouldn't read the Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Of course we should. We're meant to, according to Prabhupada's instructions. But it's not like that we can ever surpass the Bhagavad Gita or the very simple instruction, seemingly everyday instructions from our spiritual master. But okay, so I got off on a tangent as usual. But the main point is to hear from reliable sources. And that's what we want. That's why somebody wants to go to Harvard or MIT or some reputable institution, because you know that if I go to that school, IIT, and you know that if I go to that school, I'll get reliable information from reliable sources. And people will take me seriously when I go to apply for jobs, etc., etc. And so the reliable sources is the key. And in spiritual life, especially in Kali Yuga is Kali Dosha Nidhirajan Asti Kaman Guna Kirtanade Krishna The Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. There's an ocean, just like you jump in the Atlantic Ocean, you're going to find an ocean of water. You're not going to find, so in Kali Yuga, we're swimming around in an ocean of fault. Everything is really messed up in Kali Yuga. Government, business, in personal relationships, everything is complete, is literally an ocean of faults. But there's one good thing, good quality about Kali Yuga, and that's that simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can make all spiritual progress and go back home, back to Godhead in one life, very easily. Not easy in the sense that I just lie down in bed and everything will come to me. You gotta be up, you gotta be doing your studies, you gotta chant your rounds, you gotta follow the regulative principles, you have to be a reliable, humble servant of Guru Krishna in disciplic succession. Not easy in the sense that you don't have to do anything like there's some things you can do online, and you can just send some money to some so-called church, and you can get a certificate in the mail that that this person is a bona fide reverend in our church. You pay like $20 or something. Get us not easy in that sense, but easy in the sense that if we just do the basic processes of Krishna consciousness, we don't have to do anything else. You're going to cook anyway, so cook for Krishna. You're going to eat anyway, so eat for Krishna. You're going to do some work anyway, so do your work for Krishna. You're going to read something anyway, so read about Krishna. You're going to get married anyway, most people. So just get married and serve Krishna within your marriage, within your parenthood. These are all things you're going to do. So just do them for Krishna. So it's easy. It's easy in that sense. And it's easy because it's our natural propensity to serve Krishna. Reading the verse that Arjuna asked Krishna yesterday, he said, by what is a man impelled to sinful acts as if impelled by force. I don't need the Sanskrit, but Krishna says, Kamesha Krodesha. Is lest only Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion, is later transformed into wrath, and is the all devouring sinful enemy of the world. It's a pretty direct. Doesn't get much more direct than that statement. Why do you do things you know you shouldn't do, even if you know they're sinful? Even if you're raised in a religious way and you know what the sins are, still you might do something that's is sinful. Arjuna said, well, why does somebody do that? It seems like they're forced to do that. And Krishna is lust only. And then the purport Prabhupada explains how this is very very key, all points are key, but it's a very nice point that Prabhupada makes many times, the Shastras make many times, is the reason when the living entity is eternal a lover of Krishna. And that never goes away. That never changes. Even in the material world, we still love Krishna. But in the material world, we come in contact with the modes of material nature, and that love is transformed into lust. That's actually a proof that we have love for Krishna. That why is everyone lusty? Why does everybody want women or want men or want this or want that? Very, very intense desires, lusty desire. Why is everyone like that? Without exception, is because it's our original love of Krishna transformed because of contact with material modes of nature, specifically the mode of passion. So yes, everyone has original love for Krishna. And these things are all, anyway, I'm going over, skipping around a lot. But the main point is that all these things, every point that we hear is a crucial point. There's nothing that Krishna says that's that's not important. Like you read in your textbook for school, and say, okay, I've heard that before. That's not very important. I know, but there's no instruction from the spiritual master that's not important. And I'll tell you, I've told this before, but it's a very important lesson for me. I was with Satru Maharaj a few years ago, and he was having people, devotees, come up to read to him from the Bhagavatam before he took his nap every day. And so one day I went up to read for him, and I tried to read with feeling and expression, and he liked the way I read. He said, I like the way you read. And so then I was feeling pretty good about myself. And I went downstairs, and I think he even mentioned it at lunch when he came down for lunch. He mentioned it again, like the way Muktavandya read to me today. And so, I'm feeling kind of puffed up, kind of, look at me, look how good I am. And anyway, so later in the evening, there was a new person there who was learning how to do some of the services for him up in his room for his deities, make like a full deity worship schedule for the deities in his room. And it's done by his disciples. So showing this person how to bring the plates up for his deities and how to put them on the altar. And I still feel like, yeah, look at me. I'm the one who's training the new people now. He really likes me, and he really liked what I did. So then, and he could see that I was still, feeling like that and acting like that. So afterwards, I showed the person, and then I turned around to go to the stairs and walk down the stairs. And when I was walking towards the stairs, he said, "You should bow down." And because he knew, like all of his disciples who go up and come down, they don't offer obeisances every time. They always offer obeisances, but sometimes during the day, but not every time they go up and down. So I was just turning around and walking, and he said, "You should bow down." And, he can, in a very heavy voice, not in a loud voice, but in very. So it's
To you, to him, bow down to him.
yeah. You should bow down. You should offer obeisances when you leave your spiritual master's presence. I knew exactly what he meant. It was pretty obvious, and I knew pretty much exactly why he was saying it. It wasn't hard to figure out, and so I offered obeisance. It's a very good lesson for me. There's nothing wrong with feeling good if your spiritual master praises you for something that you've done. That's natural. But if you can't, he thought I was like carrying it a little too far. Anyway, so it's like, that's a pretty basic instruction. You should bow down to your spiritual master. It doesn't get any more basic than that. But if he said, that's my point with all these things. There's no instruction from the spiritual master or from Krishna that even if you've heard it 1,000,000 times before, that doesn't mean million and first time you hear it, that doesn't mean it's not significant. It's not a crucial thing to hear.
Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete.
Yeah, and Prabhupada quotes that many times, especially during initiation lectures and everything. He would often mention that line from the Sri Guru Charanapadma. Would often mention that line. He only wishes to be purified by words emanating from his lotus mind. And and one thing I was thinking about, about severe austerities. We're not recommended to do severe austerities in that mode. Of course, devotees do perform austerities, severe austerities, to manage a temple, or manage a zone, or take care of disciples, or cook in the kitchen, or go on a book distribution. You listen to some of the stories of devotees who going out on book distribution every day for 8 or 10 hours a day in the freezing cold or the heat of the summer. Those are severe austerities. And even severe, but in general, our system is not like this type of severe austerities that just punish the body like Kashipu was doing. He was doing them for his own selfish benefit. And so we devotees do austerities too, sometimes severe austerities, but we do them just as an offering to
Krishna.
to Guru and Krishna. So that's good. But be a little careful about that too. If somebody stays up like really late and doesn't eat enough or doesn't sleep enough because of I gotta whatever. There's more chanting. I should do her more reading. I should do her more whatever pots I should wash. Yes, those things will always be there. But you have to take care of your body too. You have to sleep enough. You have to eat enough. You have to, be a little bit careful. But anyway, so our austerities are good austerities and reasonable austerities. And sometimes we push ourselves more, like devotees who would build the Rathayatra cards, and they'd stay up for like 3 or 4 days without sleeping just to make sure the cards were ready on time for Rathayatra. The devotees do really severe austerity sometimes. But one thing about the severe austerities, uh, just for the sake of selfish, some kind of selfish motivation, like Hiranyakashipu, the statement is that they tend to make the person hard-hearted. You become hard-hearted. The essence of a devotee is to be soft-hearted. How can we become lovers of Krishna or urge other people to become lovers of Krishna unless we're soft-hearted? That's the key ingredient in devotional service. And so, but severe austerities can tend to make the person just the opposite, can make it hard-hearted. And all we do is study the Vedanta, and we deny ourselves any sense. We become hard. All clear.